I also just read, I've shown this on the channel before, that I acquired them, but I never read them yet. But the Star Wars Dark Forces novels. Of course, if you know Dark Forces, it was a PS1 and PC game, I think, when it first came out. And it was a really kind of pivotal game for gaming, especially if you're into first-person shooters. It was a big deal. So I don't like first-person shooters, though, as I've told you. I just don't get into first-person shooters. I don't like. It doesn't feel fun to me. I'm not getting into the character. I feel like my somebody put a box over my head, and that's what I'm having to play through or whatever. I did try playing it because the novel I read the novel. It's amazing. I'm going to tell you about this in a second. But it gives you the backstory of Kyle Katarn, his father, and all of that stuff. And it covers the first mission of the Dark Forces game, which, of course, is when Kyle Katarn goes to get the plans to the Death Star, which is what opens up New Hope. But the game goes into further missions and kind of plays through, Kyle Katarn's life a little bit. So I wanted to experience that part of the story too. So I read this first, and then I started playing Dark Forces, and I was like on mission 6. I mean, I was getting it done, but I told Sound Engraver, I was like, I'm just not having fun. It feels like work having to do this. It's just not fun. So I just went and watched somebody do a game playthrough, so I could get the whole story and the cutscenes, and it's really good. The story's awesome. It's really great. I'm just started reading the second. This is Soldier for the Empire. The second one is Rebel Agent, I believe. There are 3 of these. And the second 2, the one I'm reading now and the one after that, together they cover the second game, except for the Sith DLC or whatever, or expansion pack rather. But it's good stuff. It fills in so many more gaps. You get more of the backstory of Kyle Katarn. It's really great. Now, Kyle Katarn's shown with a lightsaber here. He didn't have a lightsaber at any point, even in all of Dark Forces, the first game or whatever. It's much later that, he tries to act on his connection to the Force and so forth. But wonderful art. Every maybe 10 or so pages, there's a great painting and nice art style. A quick read too, if you just, it's a big hardcover book, and you see it's not that thick, but you get a lot of great stuff in it. And Dark Forces Soldier for the Empire, it's written by William Dietz, and illustrator is Dean Williams, and I think these two did all the books there. But I like it. The only thing that's a little weird, you see it more in the second book than you do in this first book, but when they get to the Dark Jedi, Vader and Palpatine have, certain... what do they call them now? The Inquisitors or whatever. But certain Dark Jedi, fallen Jedi, people that, they've twisted to kind of serve their means. So like, Jarek, the villain from the game, is a Dark Jedi. I would call him a Sith or at least a Dark Jedi, but sometimes the game just calls them Jedi. And I'm like, no, the Jedi are the good guys. You can't just say Jedi for Jarek. He's a bad guy. He's a Dark Jedi or a fallen Jedi. You gotta be a little more, specific. So that's my only critique of it. But so far they're great. The first one was good. Even if you're not interested in the games at all, I would still recommend reading the first one, Soldier for the Empire, just to get the story of really, in terms of the Star Wars EU, who were the rebels that went to get the Death Star plans? How did that happen? It's not, what's that horrible Disney movie that everybody thinks, well, that one's actually good? The Rogue One or something like that? Yeah. No. Because Rogue One stole up and down from the Kyle Katarn story. The main character, Urso, she's based on Jan Ors from the... Urso is based on Jan Ors from the Soldier for the Empire, from the Dark Forces games. So it really is the real stories there, and it's good. It's worth reading. So I definitely recommend it if you're into Star Wars stuff. Uprunner, Kyle Katarn is one of my favorite AU Jedis. Cool, yeah, because of course in part 2, especially with the Sith expansion pack, Mara Jade comes in, and she knew Kyle Katarn a little bit long before the Thrawn trilogy and all of that, or actually concurrently somewhat. I got my timeline a little bit wrong there again because I'm still going through them reading the books anyway.